Trey Yesavage is a, what's the word? Beast? Stud? I'm trying to find the right word here. Oh, how about savage? This is MLB Game Night postseason edition.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night. This is our postseason edition. Of course, my name is Jon Frisch. I'm one half of Locked On Angels and one of your many great hosts here on MLB Game Night. With me is J.D. Hafron of Locked On Cardinals, and he knew he loved you before he met you. He thinks he dreamed you into life. Of course, there's going to be plenty of Savage Garden references, including the Blue Jays rookie starter, Trey Yesavage, putting his name in the record books. We'll take a deep dive into Trey Yesavage Garden's truly, madly, deeply dominant start and give you a Game 6 preview. JD, are you throwing up yet? Are you?
I'm loving it. But the problem here is all I hear is Savage Garden in my head now, and it's going to live in there rent-free for the next 30 minutes we do the show.
Exactly. Hey, before we get to everything on today's show, let's talk about our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Man, hopefully we had some new customers for FanDuel bet on Trey Yesavage in this one. Before we get to his incredible performance, of course, we're going to do a deeper dive into that in segment 2. Let's just recap how we got here, JD. This series was tied at 2 between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. Here we are at Game 5, the last game at Dodger Stadium before they head back to Toronto. And on Monday, it was a marathon, right? 18 innings, 2 games worth of baseball. They kept us up until the wee hours of the morning. The Dodgers walked away with that win with the Freddie Freeman walk-off home run. Game 4, Shohei Ohtani on the mound. But the Blue Jays did their thing. They got him to throw a lot of pitches. And after the long game on Monday, you know that Shohei was probably feeling it. And the Dodgers bats went silent while the Blue Jays took advantage of the Dodgers bullpen. So with things evened up at 2, which team heads to Toronto with the 3-2 series lead? Let's take it over to Carter of Locked On Blue Jays on who was the hero for Toronto in this one.
Here's the keys to the city. Unbelievable stuff from Trey Yesavage. In a Game 5 of a World Series, your 8th ever start in the major leagues, first ever start in a postseason game on the road. And what does Trey Yesavage do? He goes to Dodger Stadium and dominates. One of the best starts I have ever seen. This guy is made for the moment, putting future Hall of Famers in his back pocket all night long. This was a storybook start for the Toronto Blue Jays. With George Springer out, somebody needed to step up, and Davis Schneider on the first pitch of the game, a high fastball, which is normally his kryptonite, sends that pitch over the left field wall, and 2 pitches later, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. turns on a fastball, makes it 2-0, and from right then on, you had to feel good about this team. In the 7th inning, they come through once again. Addison Barger, ridiculous. Unbelievable stuff from the offense and from all the pitchers. Now here we are, 1 win away from destiny, 1 win away from greatness with Kevin Gausman on the mound, back at the Rogers Center on Friday.
There you go. An excited Carter of Locked On Blue Jays. Those guys have been doing a great job covering their postseason and this World Series. And speaking of great jobs, Harry of Locked On Dodgers does a great job. He's got some stern words for the absent Dodgers offense.
Pitches and it was over. The Dodgers bats, absolutely lifeless. Game 5 of the World Series wasn't just a loss, it was an embarrassment. Blake Snell's first pitch, boom! Davis Schneider launches it into the left field pavilion. Just 2 pitches later, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. sends Snell's third pitch into the Dodgers bullpen. Just like that, 2-0 Toronto. And it felt like 10-0 with how this offense has been swinging the bats. Trey Yesavage looked every bit the part of his last name. An absolute savage. 12 strikeouts, 1 run allowed, and this supposedly elite Dodgers lineup, 4 runs in their last 29 innings. That's not championship baseball. That's pathetic. The Blue Jays deserve all the credit. They came to play. But the Dodgers, you can't vanish like this on the biggest stage of them all. Down 3-2, heading to Toronto. And unless Yoshinobu Yamamoto throws a no-hitter Friday, this dream of going back-to-back might be done.
I need Harry to break all bad news to me in my life because he does it in such a way that, like, kind of makes it positive, right, JD?
He does. He'd say, like, I feel like they just won the way his inflection was there, but they did not. They did not. He actually, he was pretty hurtful there as far as, like, that is pathetic. Can I point this out to you real quick before we move on? Does Carter not look like Nolan Arenado? Look at my guy here.
That is Carter from that's him, right?
Let me just show him real quick. Look, Carter.
Trey Yesavage. In a game
is that not him?
That's him.
Yes.
Look at that. He's moonlighting as the host of Locked On Blue Jays. I love that.
So that's what he's been doing instead of hitting in the cages. Okay.
That's right. That's right. You know, I've been saying all along this postseason, it's driven me crazy how teams have been attacking Blake Snell early in the count and early in the at-bat. Well, it shows what I know, JD, because Davis Schneider, first pitch of the game, out for a home run, 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Then Vladdy on the third pitch of the game hits one out for another home run, another fastball, a 2-0 early Blue Jays lead before the first out was recorded. And get this, Snell didn't throw another fastball until 22 pitches later when he struck out Andres Gimenez in the second for the final out.
Got a little scared there.
Kike Hernandez got a solo home run of his own and made it 2-1. That was the only run the Dodgers would score in this Blue Jays 6-1 victory. And then Varsho erases that one basically because he triples and then a sac fly from Ernie Clement. Well, he's the one who erased it because he drove in Varsho to make it 3-1 Jays. But let's talk about the story of the night. Of course, we're going to dive into all the records and all the things he did well with Trey Yesavage in segment 2. But we got to say, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run on that Kike home run, no walks, JD, 12 strikeouts. And that's a new record for most strikeouts in the World Series from a rookie. He broke that tonight, and he was absolutely dominant and a savage indeed. On the other side, Blake Snell. This was a better time than last time out, JD. However, still left with the loss, his second in the postseason and his second in a row against the Blue Jays. 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, just like last time. 4 walks, 7 Ks, 2 home runs surrendered on 116 pitches. And of course, 2 of those earned runs were inherited runners given up by Edgardo Enriquez, who came in relief for Blake Snell. This is what gets me. The 7th inning was rinse and repeat of last night's 7th inning for the Blue Jays. Remember, they made Shohei throw 93 pitches on Tuesday. He let the first 2 hitters on in the 7th. Anthony Bonda comes in, allows them to score. The Blue Jays get that big 4-run inning. And then a similar situation tonight. 3-1 Blue Jays in the 7th. Snell allows a single to Barger. Barger gets to third base on 2 wild pitches and eventually scores on a wild pitch from Enriquez. Bo Bichette scores Gimenez from second. The Jays ended the 7th with a 5-1 lead. Blue Jays add on in the 8th with an IKF single. Good to know that he can still hit the ball and scores Ernie Clement to give him a 6-1 lead. That's where this one would end. But JD, I'm going to ask you, another 7th inning for the Dodgers starter that turned into a big Blue Jays inning off the Dodgers bullpen. Second night in a row. You can't trust those bullpen arms. So I think what's the bigger issue here? The Dodgers hitting versus Yesavage or the Blue Jays, or the fact that you got to bring in this bullpen? None of it's good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the disappearance of the offense for the Dodgers, credit to the Blue Jays pitching staff too, because you know, we would say, where are these guys? Well, those other guys are doing a pretty darn good job on the mound for Toronto. So it's not all just, you know, oh, the Dodgers aren't hitting well. It's also that the Blue Jays are pitching quite well. They're doing everything they need to do. And then when you got the solid defense that Toronto has behind them, makes life a whole lot easier for these guys when they do put it in play. Not a lot of them did that tonight against Yesavage. So, but I think the shocking thing is the is the lack of offense just at all outside of what Ohtani has done. That most people have been pretty darn silent in this series. You get the Freeman walk-off, and that was fantastic. Great moment for LA there. But they just have not gotten enough from anybody else. When Kike Hernandez is the guy that's driving and run, like that's not what this lineup was built to do. That's not how it's supposed to work. And so Toronto is just, they've done everything they've needed to do as far as a pitching standpoint to slow these guys down. They learned quickly, not quick enough, in my opinion, to just don't throw it to Ohtani. Now you might start seeing the wear and tear of what that 18-inning game did, not only to him because he had to pitch the next game. So you're seeing that, he's not doing he doesn't look the same at the plate right now. Might be a little bit worn down. And then the bullpen with the Dodgers bullpen, we knew that this was a thing. And Dave Roberts was going to have to go with these starters as long as possible because he does not trust anybody out there except maybe Sasaki. There's not a single guy that you can bring in and go, I'm not worried about this guy when he comes into the game. There's always going to be worry. And that was something that he really didn't have to do a whole lot of in those series before getting here against Toronto, where he could just ride with the starters as long as their arms will let him. And it hasn't been all that difficult, but we're finding out how tough it is when you just don't have anybody who can shut things down for the Dodgers over those last couple of innings to give their offense a chance to get back in the game when they do fall behind early. So it's been really tough. And again, credit to Toronto for doing everything they need to do, being absolute pests at the plate like they have been all season. And, coming with a good game plan. You mentioned the Snell thing where we were like, well, you got to be patient against him. Well, did they kind of rope-a-dope him a little bit?
Right.
Did they give him the Ali where they were like, okay, we're going to be patient. And then we're like, all right, when he brings that fastball to get ahead of you in the count, hit it. And maybe that's what they did. And you saw it had the effect because he didn't throw that fastball anymore for a while. So Toronto just doing things better than the Dodgers in this series.
Absolutely. Yeah. Putting the ball in play, making things happen on the bases, all that stuff, taking advantage of those wild pitches.
All those wild pitches and stuff like that. This is Toronto baseball to a T. It's what they've done all year, and they're showing it off for the world to see now. Crazy
that Roberts didn't go with a more high leverage guy. I know Enriquez throws really hard, but you're facing the heart of that Blue Jays order with Vladdy and Bichette, and
again, he's like eeny, meeny, miny. I don't know which one. Of you
eeny, meeny, miny. I don't know.
Who's gonna get us out of this jam? I don't know any of you who can do it. Let's try you tonight, even though you have not been one of our better relief pitchers all year. Whatever you throw 102. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we're gonna take a deeper dive at what Trey Yesavage did to have such a historic night in Game 5. That's coming up next on MLB Game Night.
Today's episode being brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and it's been a lot of fun so far. And there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game, maybe the wife's got you out doing something, and you're like, honey, I got tip-off here in a couple of minutes. Get this done for me. It's fine. It's okay if you miss the tip-off. That's fine. You can ride the hot hand. You can join in on a game after it's already going. They've got live bets on everything on who's going to score next. You can do fourth quarter comebacks if you want to. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. The guy that I've been watching and just smiling at is Austin Reeves for the Lakers. I'm not a Lakers fan. Don't get me wrong. That's not what it is. But without Luka Doncic, without LeBron James, Austin Reeves has been lighting up the scoreboard. He's somebody that I think you should look at when it comes to scoring points for your next time that you're on FanDuel. So jump on, especially now. We're giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
This is Locked On MLB Game Night postseason edition, where it's every game, every night. We got one game, of course, and it's Game 5 of this World Series, dominated by Trey Yesavage, the 22-year-old rookie. Now, before we dive into exactly what he did well in this game. Let me just remind everybody, especially those who might not be specifically Blue Jays fans. Maybe you're a fan in this World Series because you want to see them beat the Dodgers. But let me just take you back a little bit to where this season began for Trey Yesavage. 22 years old, drafted in the first round by the Blue Jays, 20th overall last year in 2024 out of East Carolina University. He went 19-2 over 3 seasons there. JD started the year in single A where he threw 7 games, 4 games in high A, 8 games, 7 starts in double A, 6 games, 4 starts in triple A, and in 3 starts in the majors before the postseason hit. This was his 5th start of the postseason. He's thrown more postseason games than he has in the majors. Now, back at East Carolina, he made 29 starts over 2 years, and here he is pitching in one of the most important games he's ever pitched in his life against the defending champions, against the biggest payroll, against the greatest player in the world, leading the Blue Jays to a 3-2 lead in the World Series. And as Carter mentioned, putting future Hall of Famers in his back pocket. Tell us about some of the history that Yesavage made in this one.
Yeah, this was this series, we're seeing all sorts of crazy things. Obviously, the 18-inning game was something, but now you're seeing you get the complete game from Yamamoto. Now we got Yesavage creating history here. First rookie with 10-plus Ks in a World Series game since 1949. He joined Smokey Joe Wood. Most Ks for a pitcher 22 or younger in the World Series. That happened in 1912, all right? Over 100 years ago. Is
Old
when this
Smokey
stuff
Joe?
is going down, and this is the kind of things that Yesavage is doing. At one point, he tied the rookie World Series record with 11 Ks on the night with Don Newcomb back in 1949, but then he set the record by striking out 12 when he whiffed Freddie Freeman in that 7th inning. He's the first rookie with multiple 10-plus strikeout games in the postseason. 10-plus Ks in the first 5 innings of a World Series game. You got Trey Yesavage and then a guy by the name of Sandy Koufax. Dodgers fans are familiar with that guy. Pretty darn good. It was just an incredible night for Trey Yesavage. And the thing is, this isn't the first time he's done this because he did it against the Yankees too, where he just came out and just went right through him like a hot knife through butter. Like this dude, he's just that guy. And it's incredible to watch him go through these guys that, we're talking about the Yankees and the Dodgers. We're not talking about, lower level competition here. These are the best in the world. Like he's whiffing Ohtani and Aaron Judge, and like all of these guys, the future Hall of Famers, and he's just making it look easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sandy was in the house watching Trey Yesavage do his thing. And so there you go. He matched that record from Sandy Koufax, which is just incredible. Let me nerd out a little bit. On Locked On Angels, I say buckle up, nerds. And I want to nerd out a little bit and take a deeper dive into what Trey Yesavage did versus the Dodgers. Again, his line on the night, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned on the home run, 12 Ks on 104 pitches. JD, he only used 3 different pitches, a slider, a splitter, and a 4-seam. And he had a 44% whiff rate on his pitches, 23 swings and misses. And it felt like that when you were watching the Dodgers whiffing at everything he had to offer. A 40% called strike plus whiff rate, meaning 40% of his pitches went for strikes against the Dodgers. And something that I found interesting was the fact that he changed up what he was doing on the mound throughout the night, and in particular, increased his slider usage from the first time through the order to the third time through the order from 31% to 56%. And that slider got him a 55% chase rate on the night. The Dodgers put that slider in play 7 times, but the only 2 hits they got off of him were hard hit. Everything else and added up to an average exit velo of 83.1 miles per hour. Now, that might be fast for you and me, but for this Dodgers lineup and professional baseball players, that's not a very good exit velo when you're trying to do some damage against the starter. And the biggest thing here is Trey Yesavage going 7 innings pitched as opposed to just 4 innings, 3 walks last time, 5 Ks, and 2 earned runs against the Dodgers in game 1. Now, on the other side, Snell, he did go into the 7th, But it still ended with 5 earned runs against him on the night. Like last time in game 1, he allowed runners in his final inning to get on base. And then they came in via the Dodgers bullpen, and the Blue Jays in game 1 put up 9 total runs in that 6th inning against the Dodgers pen. Again, rinse and repeat is what happened. So JD, before we got to this game, we previewed it on last night's show. We said, what kind of adjustments are these teams going to make? Snell adjusting to the Blue Jays, Yesavage adjusting to the Dodgers. Both teams have already seen these pitchers in game 1. JD, my question is, did anyone learn any lessons from game 1 to game 5 in this one?
Well, I mean, you would think that just looking at the box score, you would say Yesavage learned a few things here and there. And here's the thing, too. He's a rookie, and making the start in game 1 of the World Series in front of Toronto and all his fans, yeah, I'm assuming he was a little jacked up for that one. Course. So, the walks, which is something that, he's going to walk a couple of guys here and there. It has happened through his brief career so far. But, I can see how the moment might have been pretty huge for him, and maybe he would struggle a little bit being a rookie. Now he knows what it felt like, what it takes, and to see him make those adjustments. And you mentioned switching things up. And this is key to pitchers because, early on in games, it's kind of like the rule is you don't show your whole repertoire. You got to keep things in your bag a little bit for later on when you do see these guys a second and a third and, maybe even a 4th time if you're going super deep into games. But you want to keep those things in your pocket so that they don't know, they haven't seen that yet. They don't see the shape of the ball, what's coming at them. So it was great to see those small adjustments that the really good pitchers can make. And he did it tonight, dude. I'm overwhelmed by how good he looked tonight.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just, it's something special, and I'm at a loss for words at how good he was in this particular game. And obviously the Dodgers didn't have any answers for it. There just was nothing. That splitter is just naughty, dude. And I don't know how you hit it, especially in they were talking about arm angles and his arm slot and stuff, and how, it's coming from like a 7'1" guy, as opposed to most people are coming out a little bit 3/4 around a 5'8" side. And it's just a different look. And it's weird for these guys who haven't really seen it a whole lot. They got to see him in that first game, but him having everything under control tonight, where he just, anything he wanted to throw, he could put it anywhere he wanted to tonight. He was just incredible.
That's the thing, right? I mean, we can make the joke. Obviously, the low-hanging fruit is that he's a savage, but I think the biggest thing is the poise. And you mentioned the difference between game 1 in front of Toronto, making your first World Series start in game 1 as a 22-year-old. What were we doing at 22? Not that, that's for sure. And it's the
delivering pizzas, bro. I was still living in my parents' house. I wasn't pitching in the World Series. Tell you that much.
Kidding. But it was the poise and the demeanor, and he just it looked like he was in control from the get-go. And look, I think he benefited immensely from the fact that Schneider and Vladdy gave him a 2-0 lead right out of the gate, because that does everything for you. It changes your entire mindset. You can be a little bit more aggressive. You can attack the zone. And as we saw, that 40% called strike plus whiff rate gave him the ability to attack the zone and just do what he did so well. I appreciate Brian letting me nerd out. He said in the comments, nerd out, John. I love that kind of stuff. So I appreciate that, Brian. Hey, we're going to get you ready for game 6. We're moving to Canada. Well, the World Series is moving to Canada. Game 6 on a Halloween night, Friday. It's going to be insane. We're going to get you prepped for that in just a minute.
Today's show also being brought to you by PrizePicks. It is the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I, we make decisions each and every day, but on PrizePicks, when you make the right decision, you're cashing in, bro. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. It's very simple. Very, very simple. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections. So if we're talking football here, we're talking passing yards, receiving yards, rushing yards. touchdowns, completions, all receptions, all of that stuff. It's all available there on PrizePicks, and you just go with your hunches. What do you think is going to happen? And you can turn your takes into real prizes and do it all in less than 60 seconds. It's not a complicated way to get these guys in. You find them, you go, boop, and it's very simple. I'm telling you, you'll figure it out right away if you've never done it before. Download the PrizePicks app today. Give it a try. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB, one word, for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, it's good to be right.
Well, my Dodgers in 6 prediction went out the window.
Our Dodgers in 6. We both were on that train, and we have failed.
We failed, and I'm okay with it because I love Vladdy Jr. and everything his dad did for my favorite team. I love the way the Blue Jays play baseball. I've said it many times, and I'll say it again. The Blue Jays play the kind of baseball you wish that your team played, and they've certainly done that against the Dodgers and have just confounded the Dodgers at the plate. And I'm okay with that. So let's get you ready for Game 6, because we will have a Game 6, and it's going to take place in Toronto. They're taking Thursday night off. They're going to reconvene at the Rogers Center in Toronto on Friday, Halloween night. It's going to be insane. I'm hosting costume karaoke at a bar in Los Angeles on Halloween night, and you know that place is going to be packed out with Dodger fans. So this is going to be one excited crowd.
I dare you to wear a Blue Jays jersey as your costume.
It's my costume. Come on.
I dare you. See what happens.
You know what? I am going to be Macho Man Randy Savage, so maybe I should just be Macho Man Randy Savage. There you go.
I like it.
The first greatest Savage. There you go. Blue Jays finished 54-27 at home during the regular season. That was the best record in the American League. Second best overall to the Phillies, who were 55-26 at home. This postseason, they're 5-3. They're going to send Kevin Gausman to the mound, defending their home turf and looking to raise the Commissioner's Trophy against the Dodgers, who will have the man who's been their best pitcher in the postseason and even the regular season. It's Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So, JD, give us the lowdown on Kevin Gausman coming into this one.
All right, Kevin Gausman, 34 years old now. I think this is his 4th year with Toronto, and he has been the staff ace, honestly. 5 appearances and 4 starts during the postseason. He's 2-2 with a 2.55 ERA. He's gone at least 5 2/3 innings in each of his starts. So, he's not one of those guys that gets knocked around early and leaves the bullpen hanging. His longest start was actually in Game 2 of this World Series, when he went 6 2/3, and he allowed only 3 runs on 4 hits, but 2 of them ended up being those home runs late by Will Smith and Max Muncy in that 7th inning. He struck out 6. He was very good. It's not like he pitched bad in that particular game. Wound up being a 5-1 Dodgers victory. It's the guy who was on the other side who was more responsible for Gausman taking the L in that one, and it's the same guy who was starting for the Dodgers in Game 6 in Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah, 27 years old, right-handed. Outside of one start, he's been fantastic this postseason. 3-1, a 1.57 ERA over 4 starts. The one hiccup was against the Phillies when he lasted just 4 innings, allowing 3 runs on 6 hits, striking out only 2. And since then, he's proven just exactly how much of an anomaly that outing was. Now, I will say, I have seen teams get to him every now and then, including my Angels. And so he does have that in his game. It's very few and far between. But when he's coming off a start like he did last time against the Blue Jays, you got to feel pretty confident if you're a Dodgers fan. Now, against Milwaukee, he throws a complete game. Just 1 run on 3 hits, striking out 7 on 111 pitches. And just to prove that it wasn't a fluke, he does it again in Game 2 of the World Series. Complete game, 1 run, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts on 105 pitches. Listen to this. That's a total of 18 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits, 15 strikeouts, and only 1 walk over his last 2 starts. He's been almost as dominant as you can get, really, and there really isn't anyone on the Dodgers roster that they'd rather have out there on the mound than him in a situation where they're down 3-2 in this series. And if they hand the Blue Jays a win, it's over. So I think the turn of the rotation has been very fortunate for the Dodgers with Yamamoto on the mound. Now, another variable in this one is the availability of George Springer. He was preparing to pinch run at one point in Game 5. We haven't seen him since he got hurt in Game 3, but all reports have been positive about him possibly being back and available in Game 6. JD, what about the possibility of seeing Shohei on the mound in this one?
Yeah, there's a chance that despite him just pitching the other night, he's going to be back on the mound in Game 6 if he's needed, with the Dodgers down to their last loss. They can't afford to have another one. So it's all hands on deck, according to manager Dave Roberts. And would we really expect anything less from Shohei Ohtani at this point? I mean, the way that they were all kind of rallying in that 18-inning game. I mean, think about this. It's a good thing that they didn't need Yamamoto in that game, because now he is ready to go in this situation.
He was warming in that one. That's right.
Yeah, he was down there playing catch, and luckily they didn't need him. So he got the rest that he actually needed so that he's ready for this start. But Ohtani, he's going to do whatever it takes. You need him to throw left-handed. I'm guessing he probably is really good at that too. Probably only throws like 94, 95 if he came out there with a different arm out there, but has not pitched in relief as a major leaguer, though. That is something that is new for him, but we do remember him closing out Team Japan's 2023 World Baseball Classic title over Team USA. He struck out your boy, Mike Trout. So he does have some big game experience coming out of a bullpen, but all hands on deck, man. Kershaw, I know some people were wondering whether or not he might get into the game tonight, if that was a situation that he would do that. Didn't happen, but obviously he's ready to go if they need him. So we might see him in Toronto as well. But what's the phrase? Never leave any stone unturned. That's kind of where they are right now, because they have to win. There's no excuses. It's got to get done. And they can't rely on just dudes who barely pitched this season. They can't rely on Klein to come in and save their butts this time. It's got to be all of these expensive dudes that they paid to get it done. And it's time for them to step up. And that's what the Dodgers are going to need. They need offense outside of Ohtani. They need somebody to generate something. And then they need their bullpen if they need them, because Yamamoto, obviously, back-to-back complete games. But if they need somebody, they need somebody that they can rely on in case he gets into a pickle. And Toronto's got a chance to do some damage and really separate the score the way they've done the last couple nights. Yeah,
Yamamoto is coming into this one knowing that he's going to have to go to the distance. And
9 innings.
That's honestly, it's going to be on the back of his mind coming into it. And considering everything we've seen from the Dodgers bullpen, I know that things were kind of reshaped throughout the postseason in the way that they, had their starters go long, and then you have Sasaki and that nasty splitter at the end of the pen. But the problem has been the stuff in between. Snell, 2 stinkers of an outing, and Dodgers offense falling asleep at the wheel. So it just really comes down to those 2 factors between the bullpen and the offense going to sleep. It's not looking too good for them. So Yamamoto is going to have to step up in this one. Plus, with Ohtani coming in relief, now I know they have the Ohtani rule where if he's starting a game and he comes out of the game, he can stay in as the DH. Well, it doesn't work that way in relief. So they'll have to walk a fine line of, hey, we need Ohtani to pitch. Is his turn in the order coming up anytime soon? And then how do you he's got to go from the dugout to the bullpen to warm up and then come back out? Like, that's just going to be, I'm sure that we'll see it, JD, because we have seen things that we've never seen before in baseball.
Yeah, we see just about anything in this one. So,
yeah. It's just been a wild series so far. Now, listen, we know that there's an off day on Thursday, but of course, Lindsay and Steve will be here for an episode of Game Night. And then they're going to be here until a World Series champ is crowned. So make sure you're tuned in for MLB Game Night, because we want you here to celebrate with us however this goes, because it's just been a fantastic series. Thank you to the...
Before we go, who are you picking in Game 6, John? Don't leave the boys hanging.
I think it's going to now. Okay, so now that my thing is out of the window with Dodgers in 6, I'm going Blue Jays in 7, baby. That's what I'm saying. It's going to a Game 7 because I want it that way.
Because I got no skin in this one, I want to see a Game 7 as well. And I'm not trying to offend any Toronto fan. I just want to see it because I want to see the drama. I want to see the fun. This has been an awesome World Series, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's as much fun as I've had watching a World Series where my team wasn't involved. Like, it's been great.
Exactly. And sure beats, 5 games the last couple of years. So this has just been a really exciting one. But thank you for joining us for this edition of Game Night. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And again, come back tomorrow because Lindsay and Steve will get you ready for the final stretch of this World Series, because this is MLB Game Night, where it's every game, every night.